let's do that. That worked. And now I am going to... I should be quiet. Oh, I'm hoping. Oh, this is working. Well, some things do. Okay, so now I am going to drop my prints. Where did the print go? Now, this is interesting. I have now started stuttering. Where did I put it? Now, let's see. I'm right here. Ooh, I've got all these darn slides up here. Ugh. Hey! How's it going, Mary? Hello?
Not too bad.
Oh, good, good. I have figured something out. Are you able to watch the stream?
I did see it, yes.
Okay, did you see that I've got an overlay on there?
Oh, no, I didn't. I can't check right now because my laptop can't handle both.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it. So what I did was I put an overlay, and the other part is on this. If you get a chance to review it after it's up, I was able to also add slides. So like it will now show, I'm just doing it now. It'll now show the title slide, the one that you see there. And then as we progress through the event, I will change over what slides are being shown.
Awesome.
So that, people can see a little of it. Now, of course, it never fails. Everything was working perfectly until now, where I am actually starting to find a whole lot of jerking at this moment. So hopefully we don't see that in the video, but who knows?
Joking in VR chat?
Yeah, it's more like I think I'm losing frames. Just a second, let me take a look here. No, it's saying that I'm doing 31 frames on my overlay. Well, 31 then 20. Let me take a look at what VR...
Well, there's a difference between... VR chat might be the one losing the frames.
Yeah, it says... Yeah, it's giving me 20, 22, but that's not that bad. But it just feels like it's kind of... Yeah, it feels like it's missing frames. Who knows? Well, let's hope. It was working just before. Until, of course, I tried to start streaming. And then whatever. But that's the sort of thing that does...
Always the way.
There's always something that has to be done. And of course, it never fails. You and I might be the only ones here. Frofador is a
the others
maybe.
are a maybe.
Armani's a maybe, and there was one other person. I think it was Fireboo.
Firebee, yeah.
Yeah, Firebee was a maybe. So you and I were the only ones showing up. So there you go.
I think next week we're going to have to start postponing events until we do get enough to at least make 3 of us.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. But I'm just going to... Now, I will say what I am going to do is I am going to get my battery, which is located right over here, off the wall, which was where it was charging, because as much as I trust my headset to just about make it through an hour, there's always the likelihood that it might not. As I look through my nose piece to try to see where I'm plugging things in. Of course, as a stream goes, that probably is now I've lost the what is it that we call when we suspend our disbelief and then we turn around and and then really just kind of trap it completely at that point. We really just sabotage it at that point. I don't know what it is, but batteries and headsets and things like that kind of go hand in hand in that case. Well, okay. I'm just thinking what we'll do is we'll delay to 3:10, and then we can just have the quick start. Just quickly go through something here, and you know what? We don't have to end right on time. It can be early if our discussion doesn't go any further than that. But how are you doing, Mary? How's your human today?
Pretty good. Had kind of a busy day.
Oh, wow. Meetings or just regular work?
Kind of Mostly admin stuff today.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
bits and pieces all over the place.
Mm.
Um,
Yep. I can, yeah.
But
I know
fairly
that.
productive. So
Yeah, admin is all part of the workday life, whether we want it or not.
mhm.
But so yeah. Oh wow. For me, let's see. I got the recycle out and the compost out, so therefore, that just seems like such an accomplishment today. But oh well. That's the sort of thing that we
Yeah.
kind of get into, I guess. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So I'm just looking at the time here. It's now 3:08. 3:08 my time. Like what? It's let's see, 8:08 your time.
Yes.
I think. Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's cool. And I'm just gonna check the stream. Yeah, things look okay. Okay. So I'll just throw the welcome message back up again to say that's what we're going to do. What I might do is just quickly start with actually the next one, which is our values. And throw that one up for people to see if they're looking at the stream after we've done it. Oops. Too many interfaces. So there we go. We have our values, and the idea being is that we have, like with Bridgemaker values, we have human first. Of course, I'm sitting here looking at it on my screen. Human first, iteration, kindness, stewardship, and transparency. So again, human first, we're all taking care of ourselves, putting what we need as humans first, as in this greater context of the community, and appreciating that other people have to do the same. Iteration, essentially that nothing is perfect, and nor are we. So we continue to try to do improvements as we go. We take feedback, and we give feedback, which is all very important. Kindness.
Yep.
Okay, so this is an interesting one in that, again, we try to be kind rather than nice. You can be both, I guess, at times, but the thing is that what we will do is prioritize kindness, which is to say that longer-term thing of helping people, even if in some cases it isn't comfortable. And, that goes back to kind of the iteration side of things. Stewardship being that we're all kind of working towards a greater opportunity in that case, and we are not, and so the idea is we're looking after the actual community in that sense, and its long-term goals by contributing. And transparency, which is why we... Oh, Frofador's here. This is awesome. This is awesome. Hey, Frofador. Thank you for coming. Awesome. Yes, exactly.
Hi.
Oh, who else have we got? Oh my gosh. It's Barry. Fantastic. Hi, Barry. Oh,
okay, sorry. I didn't sign up for the event. I just got like invite from Mary, so I thought it was like something else.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah, and I was going to sleep anyway. I just like wanted to say sorry, Mary. I can't meet you right now. That's why I came here.
No worries.
No
Sorry, Mary. I
worries.
can't meet you right now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. You
Have
take
a good
care.
Have a good
event,
one.
Ronan,
Have a good one, Barry.
Fro, and Mary. Have a good one.
It was nice meeting you for a moment. How do you rotate objects in desktop mode?
Sorry?
You hold the middle mouse.
Oh, there it is.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
like
idea how you do it on trackpad.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck
Tried
with
Shift,
that. Holy
Control,
smokes.
Alt. Wasn't working.
But yeah, so we were trying to go through just the kind of the values, but given current audience, I would say that we're doing pretty good there. So I would just say transparency, and that is to say that we at least let people know why we're doing things, and which includes, by the way, that we're live streaming right now. So we're just going to
Sweet.
say that we want people to see what we're doing and to keep a record of it as well. So, religion. Wow. Holy smokes. I didn't think we would ever have to get into that. But on the other hand, I think that's rather interesting because, of course, my background is a religious one. So, you know what? I'm just going to first flash this particular slide up on the stream because, yeah, Frofador, this is just so awesome. I can actually show the slide that I'm about to show you on screen. Okay, so Frofador, don't know if you can, and Mary, if you can look at that. So we're going to discuss something. I kind of took the feedback from last session, which is like, okay, let's discuss something. So describing in your own words, okay, what is religion? So I tried to put it into a sentence. Ronan has religion. In fact, Ronan has religion and demonstrates it as much as he can. Okay, so I just add that little bit in. Not to say that I do, just that's the sentence. Okay. And then what is a religion? So Ronan belongs to a religion. And in real life, I belong to a religion called Christianity, which is, and inside of that denomination inside of that in Christianity, there's a kind of a super denomination called Protestantism or the Reformed Church. And then further on down, I'm actually part of the United Church of Canada. Okay, so that's, and I am an actual, what is called a licensed lay worship leader in the United Church of Canada, meaning that I can lead church services in the event that, a minister needs to have somebody come in for, supply relief, etc., go on vacation, etc. So we're talking about religion, and then we're talking about a religion, and they're like, so I just thought it would be kind of fun. What do people think of when they see that statement or that definition? What comes top of mind?
The way you've kind of separated them makes me think the top one is synonymous with religious, and I feel like someone who is religious doesn't necessarily need to belong to a single religion. They could borrow from multiple and come up with their own, whatever makes the most sense to them.
Cool.
Whereas a religion is, like you said, the Church of Canada, that is a religion. Or Christianity would be an umbrella version of that. That's what makes sense to me, anyway.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Frofador. What comes to top of mind for you?
I'm trying to think how to phrase this in be polite, but
Don't
sometimes
be
I hear-
polite. Don't be polite. Like just no, because like quite frankly, that sometimes is the challenge with definitions. You know, like but just go with what.
Yeah. I mean, well, this might be not the most. Well, I'll just say it. I think sometimes when I hear the term religion, I think fear. I think that there is a group of people that have an agenda to control another group of people, either through well means or perhaps a dogma of some kind to control and, I guess, I don't know, give people something that will satiate them, but ultimately is a tool for oppression and leads to, or at least historically has led to many, many terrible tragedies. And I don't believe I've really met anyone in my life that came up to me and was religious and was a positive figure. So,
Cool.
not this. I mean, you seem totally fine, Ronan.
No.
It's just been
But-
an experience for me.
But that's
Present
a good
company
point.
accepted, right?
Okay, that's cool.
Yes, I'm providing the opposite point of view here. I
No,
think,
that's
which
excellent.
might lead to some interesting discussion.
That's excellent. Because again, let's go ahead. Sorry.
I do have one counterpoint for that. Science has also caused a lot of destruction as well. Things like leaded
true.
petrol, especially where money is concerned. Business, there's a lot of suffering caused by that. So I feel like
Yeah.
no matter which way you go, that seems to be a situation we're in.
Okay.
But yeah.
Science does change over time, which is good. I feel like religions are often, I guess, more based on a belief or faith-based system and are more interested in keeping things the same way.
Okay. A very interesting point. We're going to revisit that, and it's about
Yeah, of course.
change and evolution. Okay, so, and so for me, I'm kind of. I will be honest with you. I'm kind of between the two of what you've both said. Like, number one, religion is very much something with respect to what a person believes. So if you have if you consider it, you're trying to say there's a set of rules or beliefs or whatever that are needed with respect to something that is a reference, okay? And that reference has to be kind of outside of yourself. It can't be one that it is, and more importantly, it's a reference that is outside of yourself, or at least a reference outside of myself, that I believe is important or the truth. Okay? Now, that means to say that I'm saying whatever it is that I'm believing is something in, call it the superset of the universe or existence, and I'm only just a subset of it. Okay, so that's one part. The next is a religion, and that for me means that it is actually a complex set of tools. Of rules, rituals, etc. We are a storied people. That's one of the things that civilizations definitely have shown, is that we believe in having stories. We might not believe the stories all the time, but we have stories. And when we have stories, we then, oddly enough, in my opinion, go through the rituals of thinking about those stories and letting them, be inside of our lives at that point. So stories are important, but what that comes down to is then it turns into rules and a number of other things as you go. So I'm going to just hope. Here we go. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to, if I can get there, is go to the stream again, and I'm going to flash up the slides that I want to that I'm going to show you here, so that the viewing audience can see it. And now, what I'm going to do is show this one. Okay.
Ooh.
And so I'm trying to now. What I'm going to do, what this is meant to be, is a way to look at how Christianity, in its context as a religion, is looked at. And what it is there technically is, as a religion, an inspired writing. Now, it's a Bible, and I'm not going to get into the details of the Bible. Believe me, I could. But even then, I could end up telling you, and of course, I'm not a biblical scholar, and I'm not. But the thing is that it is actually a very complex set of storytelling that is going on with the Bible. Okay, so that is kind of the inspired writing of it. Then it's doctrines, and it's the truths that we take from text or from life. And it isn't always about, so a doctrine is supposed to be let's call it like a learning, so to speak, something that's documented, written down, and is a learning. So as an example, it's interesting. So one that, as an example, that is sort of a conflict. I say sort of a conflict. I'm minimizing it, but it's just simply because I don't know enough about all of the words in the Bible that go with it. Is like, for example, slavery. Slavery is, by Christianity, in I'd say all of Christian belief, is not acceptable. You can't own another human being. Yet, biblically, there wasn't much that was said against it. Okay? That is actually something that a lot of people don't quite see in the text. I kind of see it that it is actually not talked about in that negative way because of the fact that it comes from this set of stories that have happened over, let's call it a 3,000, 4,000 year period. And there was a time, I say 4,000, but technically it was over about let's call it 1,500 year period, because the Bible kind of ends with about 100 CE. So like it technically went from the time of Moses. Sorry, I'm going to get into a little bit of discussion here. Time of Moses, like at about 1300 BCE or before the Common Era, to about 100 CE or Common Era after the Common Era. Sorry, ACE after Common Era. So that technically is about like 1,500 years. That's it. And contextually, nobody ever got to that point where they said, "Oh, we really shouldn't have slaves." Okay, like it sounds odd that we would say that, we think that, and yet now Christianity would say there is no reason to have a slave. Not only that, it's not right. So how do you derive that? Well, you kind of derive it from thinking about the text, what it means, but then on top of it, some life lessons, like it encourages abuse of power, abuse of human beings. That's not a good thing. let's not do that. So I'm pointing that out to you there. And so that's kind of what a doctrine is. Now, the next, and you pointed it out, Frofador, is dogma. And that is actually perhaps the hardest part, is where people say, hey, you know what? So as an example, the LGBTQIA plus community is a sinful community, is sometimes a statement that comes from Christian churches. And I'm not saying that, and I'm going to say simply, I completely disagree that that is the case. My dogma is that that's actually not a sinful situation, but somebody else's dogma will be that it is. So the kind of rule that goes there is that the church, and I've talked about it. So the next line is institutions. The churches will set their own doctrines, and people technically set their own dogmas. Okay? And so it's really interesting, because when you think about it, a dogma technically is a doctrine, but a doctrine is not necessarily somebody's dogma. Okay? So, and sorry, I'm not sure how confusing that was. I'm going to go.
I get it. You're saying like a dogma is like a personal thing for an individual, and a doctrine is for the organization.
Yes. Okay, let's call it that. Because again, there's many doctrines in a church, or in any church. Okay, they might not even call it that, but they really do. They call it out as, this is what we're going to stand for. This is the learning that we have. I think that's perhaps the better way to think about it. It's more like we've got a learning that we need to express, and we share it, and we write it down, and here it is. Then we have a dogma, which technically is something that I would then personally own. Okay? So if as a person who not only is like an LGBTQ plus ally, and also with the dogma of that all relationships are blessed, okay, are blessed by God, then I have this belief that when somebody approaches another person and says, well, you're a sinful person because you're gay, then I have to I feel that very incredibly strong need to walk in and say, hey, I don't agree with you on that. And that's not, and so we need to, expose that for the falsehood that is. And then, of course, that's when the discussion, argument, conflict, whatever starts. Okay, and it does, and it has, and it's something that you just don't. It's something that's out there. So I'll stop there. So like we've gotten to doctrine, dogma. We'll go into institutions in just a second. But any comments on that?
I have one, but I'll wait to see if Rochdor.
Yeah, no, I think I know I said negative things in the beginning, but I don't think I'm against the idea. Yeah, I think like what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and it's more nuanced than what it appears for most people. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but yeah, no, I'm very interested in learning more.
Okay, and again, I'm not saying that I didn't, like, I'm going to be honest, Frofador, I didn't disagree with your comments at all. Okay.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'm
I'm saying I'm spreading discourse to provoke more
Excellent.
conversation.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
we want.
Not here to downplay, but to be like devil's advocate.
Yep. Absolutely.
In this case, maybe literally.
That's it. That, by the way, is another topic totally at that point, because don't like that. Like it's interesting to talk about the concept of good and evil when we do talk about religion, and how it's represented, and more importantly how it again forms into doctrine, but doesn't necessarily mean that it has its own roots systemically in the Bible. Okay, so the next is
Right.
institution and network of churches. Go ahead.
Before you go there, so there's a particular excerpt from Leviticus. I don't know if you know which one I mean.
Sorry, which would you like? Would it be about men lying down with other men?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
If a
think
man
that's
lie with
Leviticus
mankind.
19, is it? Or is it, am I got that wrong?
18 or 20, something like that.
Okay. So yes. Okay, so and yes, we were trying to get into the concept of identity as it relates to sexual orientation or even gender transitioning. And sorry, I don't mean to go off topic there. So, but the fact is that there are from my understanding, which is limited, there are about 7 what they call clobber verses in the Bible, okay, that have to do with the LGBTQ plus, but really for the most part, I hate saying this, most of it is because of the idea of men finding other men attractive, okay, or more importantly, men having what is called intercourse with other men, okay, and I'm not going to paint you a picture here for that. I'm just going to say that's
I think we know what you're talking about.
Okay, so there are two, I did read a book called Unclobbered, and I believe it was by a pastor by the name of Colby Martin, and I found it very educational to be able to hear what somebody was saying about that. Now, much of what we kind of have to remember with Leviticus, and sorry, I'm not going to take from his excerpts because I can't remember all of them, but I will say that one thing that we know, Leviticus has a very grounded root with the cultural aspects of the Jewish people of that time. Jewish people, Judeans of that. Oops.
Oh.
Profidor left. Okay.
I'm guessing
crashed maybe. I don't know. Haven't. Okay. So, but Leviticus was very much from my understanding, was very much trying to address cultural aspects at that time, because here was a people that, quite frankly, was having a hard time finding where they were going to go live after, quote, they had left Egypt from the land of oppression from the pharaohs. Okay, so they weren't a happy bunch. Okay, I'm kind of. Oh, sorry, Profidor's back. Okay, so we'll just repeat that.
Seems like I crashed.
Yep, no worries. Leviticus, and I'll just quickly recap. Leviticus is technically very much about the culture of that time. And so, as an example, Leviticus also points out that you're not supposed to have dairy with meat. Okay, you're not supposed to have your dairy touch your meat. Now, there's a reason for that because, let's face it, back then there was no refrigeration. There was no ability to ensure a food quality that wasn't going to poison you often. And these sorts of things were a concern. This is a cultural aspect, right?
I see.
Technology changes culture. Okay, whether like the so like as an example, the concept of money changed our culture, our historically cultures, like incredibly. And it was one of the first inventions that was fully taken on because it was like it's great. You've got money. You don't have to sit there and try to cough up a goat to get a tunic. All right. Sorry, I'm oversimplifying, but the thing is that that's actually a thing there. So what we now have is Leviticus, and don't get me wrong, the many Jewish people who live inside of Orthodox lives will not have a cheeseburger. Okay, they will not be, having cheese with whatever meat. They are looking for kosher, just as people of Islam are looking for halal. Okay, and which all has to do with the processing of the food, and it's and how it is considered blessed to be eaten. So we go there. But that's the thing about Leviticus. Leviticus was looking at different things. Now, I'm going to say, and the one thing that I feel like pointing out to people is often for a man to have intercourse with another man it was part of a power play. Okay. I hate saying this, like, it's almost like saying, that was a sign of how I could oppress another human being. So to say, I don't want you doing that is like saying, okay, you know what? You cannot coerce, you cannot use exploitive sex, etc., associated to try to get that. Now, sorry, to leverage over other people, because then what that does, because in that, if you're in that situation where somebody is being exploitive of you, you're going through the shame and the guilt, and chances are you're going to do a lot of things to try to avoid it. Okay? So, and I really feel, and now, by the way, that's me projecting onto that text, onto the situation that they have there, that they were going through, and saying that possibly was one of the interpretations, based on some forms of research, and the answer simply is that, it's not perfect. Okay. Because the hard part just simply is that if a man and another man fell in love and did have a relationship, it would have been in the closet. Okay? People wouldn't have seen it because they would have just, or those who saw it were trusted and they would never talk about it. And that's very similar to what we've seen recently, where, we don't talk about that because we don't, we know they're good people, but we don't want them to be harmed in any way. Well, therefore, we're just not going to talk about it. We put the whole thing in the closet and make it invisible, and then, but people who are invisible are marginalized, and that just kind of goes as part of that. And that's where I would say, no, as an ally, I don't want to see people marginalized. I don't want to see them invisible. So part of that has to be taking them out of invisibility and into the visible world. So that's kind of my way of looking at it, right? Like that's.
I realize I gave you
Well,
he
you
gave you
gave me a
tough
hell
one
of a
there.
one there. It's because there's other verses, and I won't go into them, but they're there. But out of all of the homophobia that is taking place and transphobia that's taking place, there are not that many verses inside of the Bible that really talk about it in that way. And if you sat down and really thought about them, you'd be able to say, hey, look, you know what? This isn't that big a deal. It's no different to why we now are saying there should be no slavery. Okay? In fact, to uplift injustice other people, as part of justice other people, is actually something we as Christians should be called to do. I say that, and then, it never fails. Somebody is going to sit there with some detail that, quite frankly, I don't like. Sorry. So I'm sitting here being conscious of the time, but so we did have that discussion. So that's really a good point, Mary. You can tell by my voice and the way I've talked now too long that it was actually it's a key thing for me. It's like justice, the upholding of other people is actually really important to me, and it should be important to others. It really should be, in my opinion. But so we got into the other part as well of work that oops, OBS just disconnected. What the heck?
Oh,
Sorry. I'm just going to take a look here. It says it disconnected. Did it come back? Sorry, I'm just going to take a look
Check
here.
the stream.
Oh, okay. It sort of looks like it's still going at this point. It might be a little behind. Okay, so it says that it's 35 minutes in, but into the stream, it might be that far behind. I'm not quite sure. We'll take a look. I'm just going to double check my OBS. OBS seems to be working, so I don't know what happened there. Okay, anyway, having said that, the next is that we talk about churches. We talk about things that are called denominations, often in the Christian church. So Catholic is its own denomination, and it actually composes about 50% of the world Christian churches and organizations. And then on top of it, then you have the other 50%, which is what we call Protestant. But there are so many different versions of Protestant churches out there. Some are very much, if we talk about like LGBTQ+, some are really against it, and others are very much for it, that sort of thing. Wait, sorry, Fedor.
Nodding. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
There's a Greek Orthodox church nearby here.
Okay, and Orthodox churches, very interesting, is that Orthodox churches came about with actually the disagreement with the Catholic Church. So technically, an Orthodox church is not was part of the original church definition, but then broke away when Catholicism started up. Oh, I've got a friend joining me here. Okay, so that's going to be neat. I haven't seen her in a long time. She's going to be joining in a moment. I'm getting it off of VRC Plus. Oh, here she is. Henri, come on over if you can.
Hi.
Hi. we're having an event here. It's a part of this Bridgemakers event, and I'm hosting it. And I should point out, Henri, it is actually live streaming. So if you're okay being part of a live stream right now, that's cool. If not, then you might want to leave, and then I'll meet up with you. Okay. All right. Well, and by the way, the topic is about religion and identity. Okay. And we were talking about, how, okay, I can stick around to listen. Okay. You bet. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Henri. Okay. So, again, networks of churches have a tendency to then have organizations and rules that are, how can I say, a little more to the level of understanding what it is that, the larger groups are looking for. Sorry, did I answer your point on Orthodox churches?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was...
Okay. Yeah, there's actually a story behind how that split between Orthodox and Catholic, and then Catholic and Protestant took place. But I'll that's for another time, if ever. So, the thing here is though, the institutions, they're just like corporations in that sense. They will make a set of rules, sometimes a set of doctrines that are particular to all of the churches, but in some cases they like in my church, the United Church of Canada, there's an overall level of, okay, so this is kind of who we are, but they have to leave it up to the individual churches to deal with certain other aspects, because it was a church that was established back in 1925, or an organization established in 1925. And then in the end, oh yeah, I heard I don't know what that was.
That was me.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, good.
Mary, it's time for something.
It was a church that was organized in 1925, and its purpose technically was to try to preserve what was happening with other churches that were coming up into Canada at that time. So the Methodist, the Presbyterian, what is called Congregationalists all got together and they formed this church, and it became the largest church in Canada at that time. In fact, Protestant church at that time. And then it was a very conservative church, and then it started in 1930 to have the very first female or woman minister, which was insane. There was nobody who was doing that. So it was kind of interesting how it actually became more progressive, including how it became more progressive as a result now in terms of LGBTQ plus views, although individual churches aren't necessarily what we call affirming churches. So it gets to be rather interesting how things work in that case. It's not 100% as a denomination that way. So sorry, and by the way, I got to be careful. I shouldn't represent the church in that way, because that's the other part. I'm supposed to let the HR department, or sorry, not HR, PR department, take care of that itself. And so I'll just simply say, don't mind what I was saying. So the other part that I've got to sort of get in there, sorry, I had the wrong one. I'm going to say simply that wrong. I'm looking at the wrong thing. There it is. The last is the influence. Churches look for influence. Okay, so we look for things like as an example, the Roman Empire. The Christian church became the one and only, well, I say the one and only. I'm sure it was never quite that easy a transition, but it became a the church, or the religion, the single religion for the Roman Empire in about like 380 ACE. So it technically was like Constantine and Theodosius. I think it was Theodosius. I can't recall the name, but became the empire church at that point. And as a result, it had major influences on things like Britain, France, Germany. So because it co-opted with it, it just influenced how the new world, like North America, was going to actually have its influence. It's the way it was going to actually impact the people, or how exploration and discovery was done. Manifest destiny comes from the doctrine of discovery, which was a papal bull that said, okay, if you are part of the church, or part of the Catholic Church, and part of the and a Western European country, and you're taking over other people, well, then it's okay. But if you're two Western countries and you're doing bad things to each other, that's not as okay. And maybe you got to set up a formal declaration of war or whatever. But if you're going to go off and do terrible things to other people who don't look like you, well, that's okay. So, and take their land and take, and et cetera. So like, that's influence. That's influence. They didn't rule. They weren't political entities, but they did influence. So I put that out there. And I'm not, and again, like I act like this is all bad things. Some of it is good things, because, again, that whole idea of here now we are at that point where Christianity technically once it adopted the idea of no slavery, it made that universal. And the other part is the one thing about Christianity, it often sat there and looked at the poor and said, I need to uphold and uplift the poor of this world, because that technically was the most important part of one of the most important parts of the doctrine that we were supposed to uphold. So I'll put it out there. Oh, geez. Okay. You know what? I went on a little too long. There is this one slide here. And it was to just have a bit of a discussion about, your own personal impacts. I'm going to now show that in the slide. Oh, I'm going to also just double check that the stream is still going. Yeah, it seems to still be going. Okay, so that's good. And I'm going to just show this to the audience. Freeze if you want to see that. But it's all about how has religion touched you in that case, and how has it given you how has it either helped you, how has it sent you back, or traumatized you, and was it by an individual, was it by an institution? Because we act differently as individuals versus our institutions. Okay, I think that's hopefully we all understand that. Okay.
Yeah. I could go first, since I do have to drop at the top of the hour.
Okay, got it.
I'll just say one thing that I kind of knew growing up from early on was that my dad went to Catholic school and basically raised our entire family with no religion whatsoever. He basically had gone through what he described as a pretty horrible, awful upbringing. that beat a lot of, I don't know, like lessons, you could say, into him. And it just sounds like it was nothing but cruelty and following rules that people were told, you're supposed to do this because we say so. And that kind of got passed on to me as like, look at all these examples of religion causing pain and suffering in the
Yep.
world. You know, there is no reason you have to follow anything. You can choose what you want. And that was just a huge takeaway. Like it felt like every time I met someone who said they were religious, I always backed up really cautiously. It was very concerning to see someone say like, "Oh, well, do you hurt people because your God says you have to, or because you believe in things that the Bible says, like gay people are bad?" And that really was just all I really ever understood it. Like they get something out of it that makes them think these ways, and I just couldn't really see that.
Hmm.
Now, I think that doesn't mean you can't get anything out of religion, of course. I think that there's plenty to benefit your life from having beliefs about what you think the universe works, and I think that's great. Um, it just, yeah, it feels like a lot of times people don't come away with their own beliefs. They tend to follow and follow, and they see what's said and preached, and that becomes their what they rely on to be told what to think. And they're not interested in engaging in critical thinking to see why what they're told might be incorrect. They were just constantly surrounded by people that said, follow this, follow this, follow this. So it's just, in America, we're not, I would say, most people that call themselves Christian don't really follow Christianity or even Jesus's teachings. Ronan, you sound like you are someone who does, which I would say totally fine in my book. But to run these churches and to steal all this money and prevent, other people from getting help, or to tell everyone that homelessness is bad, your sexuality is bad, we're gonna all the people that are in power causing problems in our country swear by the Bible and do pretty much everything against it in the most hypocritical way I've ever really witnessed, and to always use it as an excuse. It's been very frustrating to kind of just witness throughout my whole life. And as much as like I have seen people say like, well, I follow Jesus, and then go around and vote for current presidential administration, I would say is just someone who is incredibly, incredibly ignorant, or at least is convinced themselves that what they think is true, and that's really scary.
Yeah.
And I think that tends to be a driving force behind people, no matter what, no matter how much logic or reason is thrown their way, they bring themselves to following these rules because that's just what they were indoctrinated with. Sorry to be so downer on religion, but yeah, that's been my experience.
That's an authentic experience, and in some ways, like that's the one thing that I will say, and I know that you've got to get going. By the way, actually, if we could just get a picture, I'm sorry to ask that, but can you guys come up to me at this point, because the camera's kind of pointing to us at that point. I don't know whether you can, Frofador.
Froze like BRB, I think.
Oh, sorry. I do have to get going.
Okay.
I will see you guys around.
Okay. All right. No problem.
All right. Okay.
Then we'll
take care. I'll watch the stream later.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, I guess let's not worry about the camera then, the picture then, because we'll just not worry.
We could do it at the end.
So, like your view, Mary, what do you, when you think about how maybe religion has touched, maybe it hasn't. That's the other part that,
Well, it's an interesting one for me. It's been an interesting journey, like going. My experience has been my dad's was religious. My mum used to be atheist, became religious. But they didn't kind of enforce anything on me. They let me kind of figure things out for myself.
Right.
Obviously, parental guidance as always, right? But they didn't teach me anything about religion specifically. And so I kind of wandered about the world, slightly oblivious to one side or the other. And I remain agnostic at the moment. But it's touched me in a number of interesting ways. One is invisible to a lot of people, but I've learned that in our government, it was Christians who came up with the National Health Service, our free healthcare.
Right.
It was Christians who came up with the benefit system, which meant that the poor could at least have a place to live and have some form of income that is enough for them to feed themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of systems that I agree with in this country that I think are really good systems that, in my opinion, I have Christianity to thank for that in some ways. So on that side, I'd say definitely very positive experience. On the other side, there has been, shall we say, debates in my family over certain matters, and I've always had to hold my ground about when it comes to controlling someone else's freedom.
Right.
And so that was always a point of contention in my family. And it was difficult to
Yo, what's up?
resolve.
Hey there.
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the challenge. What it gets back to is that whole part of boundaries. Sometimes it has to do with saying, okay, you know what, you may believe this, but I believe that. And if you do feel strongly enough that you've got to deal with somebody's way in which they're expressing their belief, it's always, I kind of find that for me, what's helpful is if I sit down and say, hey, I need to be a little more curious. That's what I often say to myself, is I need to be a little more curious about what they are, and then try to listen to what they're trying to say, echo it back, because sometimes once they say it, they kind of feel a sense of realization. I'm not sure that that's how, but then it's not a perfect world for all of this, and it's hard to do the right thing that we want done and we want to see the right result. And I suppose that's where I kind of leave myself with the last part of my of what I would do when I say I've got religion, is the fact that I believe in something outside of myself, and it doesn't all rest on me to make it right. It's going to be hopefully others, hopefully, this mystery of God and the world as it is. So I'm just gonna I end up also having to say we're also kind of like at time too at this point. So I think I think we need to just stop the stream, okay? But I will end up saying it was great to have this discussion. I am now going to I'm going to show Oops. Oh, next topics. We're going to have to talk about that like later. I'm going to just quickly show them on the stream because I can do that. I'm so good at this. That's great. I should not be complimenting myself. And then I am going to say thank you.
Excitement.
Oh, it is excitement. This is what's so fun, is when something actually works for the first time. And then, by the way, what I'm also like, I did do a quick. Oh, yep.
So when are we getting the Rodent podcast series?
Oh, well, we're already starting it in Bridgemakers. But you know what? I've actually been thinking about that. So I am now going
if you're thinking of starting your own podcast, setting up a YouTube channel, hey, you know who to
I know who to talk to. I know.
Editor.
Oh, Henri, hey. I know. Hey, I know. And I've got a picture of us, even though we didn't all get together at that point. So that's kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now stop the podcast. I'm going to stop the stream at this point. Oops, sorry. What am I doing here? That's that.
So
yes, I'm going to stop it now.
Because I already got Ronan saying it, to be fair. Hey.
Okay, you bet. Oh, who have we got here? We've got Falderison.
Red.
Hello, hi.
Fine.
It's good to see you.
Hi.
Okay, just a second. I'm going to turn on your avatar. I haven't got all my avatars turned on. Okay, it's a very small one. There we go. Awesome to see you. Hi.
Small.
We're just finishing up now. I'm sorry. I apologize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream now and say good night. After I've ended the stream, I'll open up a portal for anybody who wants to go to another world, because I want to just make sure that
hold on.
Okay.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Ronan's YouTube channel, Ronan's VRC Adventures. Thoughts?
Oh my God.
I'm cooking.
Okay.
I'm
going to say good night.